cigars all around. Cheers, y'all.
Well. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this fine radio program known as Smokin Toastin. We are all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. We are brought to you by B&B Butchers and Restaurant at 1814 Washington Ave in Houston, and in the shops at Clear Fork in Fort Worth by BB Italia on Memorial in Houston and BB Lemon on Washington Ave, and new BB Ventures coming soon. I did read in the paper this week about Annie. The group that owns B&B is taking over Annie, reopening it with the original chef, but they've made some adjustments to the whole thing. And, Annie was the first restaurant in Houston, I think, to win the James Beard Award, which is kind of like that's sort of like an Oscar for a restaurant, basically. Right. So anyway, yeah, kind of a cool thing. Those guys are doing it, and we are proud to be associated with them. This is Smokin Toastin. It's show number 156, and this whole show was supposed to have happened a week ago, but for the first time ever, we got rained out. It was pretty weird. I was you had made it.
I was over Casa de Monte Cristo.
Yeah,
I was about to light my cigar.
Yep, and I was on the way. I was driving from downtown through Memorial Drive. As people who know Houston know, it's a beautiful drive. I love that that's my path. But when flash floods are about,
that's not where you want to be.
It's not where you want to be. And I was about halfway here. I was coming in early. I was about halfway here, but I had to be on a conference call. I was trying to get here so I could take the conference call, and then I'd be done with that, and it'd be time to do the show. And so I pulled over. It was raining like crazy. Could barely see in front of me. Pulled over in front of a gas station so I could be underneath the overhang, so the rain's not hitting my car, because I knew I was going to have to take the conference call in my car. So I'm trying to deal with the conference call, and then it got postponed. So then I'm sitting there, and as I'm talking to Ian on the phone, I look over, and the water in the parking lot had now gone up over the curb that the pumps sit on. So the pump looked like it was actually sitting in a lake. And I'm like, there's no way I'm making it to the building.
Your car is not made for high water.
No, it's pretty low slung.
You have that nice little sporty thing.
Yeah, so it's pretty low slung. So Ian and I were on the phone, and I was like, dude, I'm afraid to say, I think you better just try to get home. And you and I, it took both of us, I think, better than...
Took me an hour
better
to
than
get
an hour
home, what
to
is
get
usually
home.
Not quite 20-minute drive.
Yeah, and there's no way we could have made it here today.
Right, and then just the nice thing was, knowing the streets in Houston and knowing what parts generally flash flood, I decided I would get on and go all the way around 610 over to where I live, and that worked out actually pretty great.
So we apologize for no show last week. We very, very seldom skip a week on this program.
I did put up a small post
I appreciated that.
After my wife got home and everything, and I just talked a little bit about how to do a whiskey sniff and those kind of things. Thought I'd do one from the house.
Speaking of whiskey sniff.
Oh, tell me.
Tickets are on sale
Tell me more.
now.
I have mine.
Trey Boring is our guest, ladies and gentlemen. One of our favorite guests on the show. We're so excited to have Trey back with us. We have so much to talk about because Trey's involved in so much, from his day job to his involvement with the cigar industry, both as a member of Cigar Rights of America and what he does for that organization, and as a huge part of the whole Cigars for Warriors operation.
And he's got big news for that,
and
too.
you've got big stuff going on with that. So,
absolutely.
So we'll get to all of that, but let me tell you about the Whiskey Sniff. Whiskey Sniff 2019 is set. The event will be Wednesday, November the 6th. It will be upstairs at B&B Butchers in Houston. And so when I say upstairs, we did it upstairs there last year. What we did was in the outdoor area was where the sniff was held, out on the big patio. It was really nice, by the way.
Yeah.
Now, this year, the doors to the indoor area upstairs, apparently the walls pull back. So the walls to the indoor will be open. And basically what will happen is we'll have a whole lot of the sampling stations for the whiskey and the different spirits set up inside there. and then the outdoor area will be sort of like the smoking lounge area. So you'll come in, you'll get your bag full of goodies and a handful of cigars. You'll be able to light up a cigar and then go around and do whiskey sniffs to try to figure out what might match up best with the particular cigar that you've.
And if you're not sure how to do
it,
a whiskey sniff, it's a real casual, real simple thing. I did post about a 10-minute episode last week, just kind of going over a simple way to do it. Although I was inside my house, and cigars inside the house are a little questionable, so I smoked a pipe instead and did the same thing, and it was awesome.
So the great thing about the whiskey sniff is, unless you're Ian or say Chris Hart, you don't have this huge bar full of a whole bunch of different kinds of whiskeys that you can do a whiskey sniff with. Now I have several. So I can do a sort of a mini whiskey sniff at my house.
That just makes the whiskey sniff easier.
Yeah, well, but how much fun is it when you've got whiskeys from around the world all sitting there?
Right.
And you know what's great about the whiskey sniff is that what goes with the first third of your cigar, something else might go better with the second third of your cigar.
Absolutely.
And when you're doing that sniff, you get a chance to really put it all
together. Your palate
is
ever evolving. So by the time you start a cigar and you sniff and find the first whiskey that goes, okay, this one's going to go with it. Well, by the time you get through with that whiskey and you still have that cigar, now you have that cigar and whiskey on your palate, another whiskey is probably going to smell really nice. It just keeps developing your palate the entire way. And then you change the cigar, you change the whiskey, all these things keep evolving.
So last year, the very first whiskey sniff, we were just trying to see if it would even work. And it did, and it was a big success. And according to our buddy Jeremiah at B&B Butchers and Restaurant, really the next day he was getting contacted by other whiskeys and spirits that weren't at the sniff last year. And there were plenty there, believe me.
That makes
wanting
me
to
feel
be
kinda
in,
good.
wanting to be in on it this year. So I would say, I don't want to say it's double, but I bet it's like
substantially more,
at least half again more in terms of what will be represented there this year. And we're talking some really good stuff. Now, what's great about this is that not only will you have a vast variety to choose from to try a sniff, but maybe some that you might not have ever gone and dropped the money on that particular bottle because it may be something fairly expensive, although you might decide to do that if you feel like it matches up well. You may go out later and purchase that, but at least you're going to have an opportunity to try it in something. Tickets are $125 a piece. They're available at Eventbrite.com. That's Eventbrite, BRITE.com, and you just go on and search Smokin Toastin. I bet if you typed in Smokin and hit the intro, hit the the enter key, that you'd find it with no problem.
That's awesome.
So so get them quick, because even though there's going to be a little more room, I mean, last year did ultimately sell out. So you want to get them quick, because word has spread, I think, about the sniff.
Well, one of the fun things, like $125 per person per event, can seem a little steep.
Yeah, sure.
For a few hours of an event,
but this is not. It's not one of those things where you're going to get like 4 whiskeys to choose from and a cigar.
Right. No, this is like, I conservatively, what are we going to have? 20 expression or 20 brands, somewhere in that neighborhood.
I think it'll be substantially more than that, and
it's going to be a
brands
lot.
will have a number of their.
But let's even say, for instance, it's 20. Okay. What do you think it would cost you to go try 20 whiskeys? Oh, I don't know, at any good whiskey bar, Poison Girl or Reserve 101 or anything like that.
Well, let me take it to the next level.
Even if you were trying the absolute
cheapest ones,
or let's say most cost-effective ones, you would still be way over that mark.
All right, so let me take it to the next level. If there's 20 whiskeys there's going to be a number of those whiskeys that have 4, 5, 6 different expressions.
That's what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
So there's going to be substantial.
So you're going to have so much to choose
you get
from.
To try something.
Trey, you were there last year.
Yeah, and as a guy that goes to cigar events, specifically around the country, either volunteering for CFW or just on my own,
right?
I will tell you that the price of the ticket at $125 is a great value at the whiskey sniff. If you're going, you get cigars. That right there, equates to almost half, or at least a third of the ticket price.
Sure.
Because last year they were not cheap cigars.
Nope.
Right.
They were very nice cigars.
We had Romeo and Julietas. We had Epicureos. We had all kinds of.
But this event is so unique that I think the value there was what I took out of it. That's why as soon as you guys posted, I bought 2 tickets. I'll bring my son again.
Your son had a blast.
Oh,
yes,
yeah,
he
he
did.
was so fun.
He did. So, the interesting thing for me is it's a great event, wonderful chance to gather with like-minded individuals and enjoy fine spirits and cigars.
One of the things I liked about it, having been to a number of cigar events and whiskey events, and stuff, is it was just very laid back. It was casual. Like it was a great place to chat with people while you were enjoying it. So it didn't have that, I got to rush around and try everything sort of vibe to it like some events can. Or it also didn't have that, is there anything else here I might want to try? Like some events can, right?
Oh, yeah.
And listen, we're spoiled because we go to the Houston Whiskey Social.
Oh, that's
which
an
is
amazing
an
event.
amazing event. So, that sets the bar pretty high for events. But this is a very different kind of event. But even Chris Hart, who, does that event with Alan Denny and his guys, I mean, they came and enjoyed the sniff as well. So,
Absolutely.
and they'll be there this year as well, I'm sure. So, anyway, a lot to look forward to. There's also Cigars for Warriors events in the pipe that we want to talk about. And we'll get to that. Let me tell you what else is coming up in the show today. And Trey, I'm glad you're here because you can help keep me sane. Our way of life. I'm really worked up about this. Everything that we enjoy being able to do as free citizens of this country and the world seems like it's under attack. I mean, it's like everybody seems to want to step in and tell us you can't do that. And as a result, by the way, as of this program, I mean, I want to just make this official. Smokin and Toastin, we're coming out as fans of Nick Jonas. You heard about that on the last show. You remember that?
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Nick Jonas is on the cover of Cigar Aficionado magazine.
I'm still coming to terms with being fans of Nick Jonas right
You
now.
know what?
But I get it.
You're gonna
what
love
you're
him.
saying, absolutely.
You're
because
gonna love him.
He spoke to Cigar. Let him.
Right.
Right. Who cares?
Like, all these people came out like it was the worst thing in the world for him to be on the cover of Cigar Aficionado with a cigar. First of all, not a surprise. He's posted pictures of himself on his own Instagram with a cigar before. It's not like a big deal. But suddenly it was, he's leading everyone astray. How could you do that, Nick Jonas?
Hey,
Leave the man alone.
Don't forget this, Middle Ages. Nick Jonas is a grown man now.
Yeah. And by the way,
Oh,
he's not Antonio Brown. He's not like assaulting women and
Right.
getting into legal trouble. He's having a cigar. And now it's getting even worse. And I've got a couple of things that I'm going to show you.
I haven't read up on it. I can't
I
wait
got
to
a
hear
couple of things that I'm going to show you that are even worse than the Nick Jonas thing. But for now, it's official. We're going to add Nick Jonas to our bumper music on the show. That's how.
We're supporting
how
him.
Far
We are
we're
full
gonna
on
go.
supporting
That's
him
right,
on this
That's
one.
right. We're all in with Nick. So I've got a Cigar
Now we gotta
for
have
Warriors patch. We need another
That's
one.
a shirt. In with Nick.
Yeah,
In
in
with
with
Nick.
Nick. I stand with Nick. I think that's something we should do. We're also going to try some really interesting stuff on today's show. And the most amazing thing about this is that when we didn't do the show last week, we'd already selected these. All of these had to go back into my refrigerator or back into my bar for a week. And what's amazing is that they still exist.
They're still there,
They
right?
still
that's
exist
why
to be
I
sampled.
actually casually texted you. I was like,
Yeah.
same beers as last week?
It was smart of you to ask.
Well, you're a better man than I am.
Yeah,
I'll just tell you
I don't know
that.
about that, but
Beers are actually meant to be drank,
I
and I
think they
really
are.
try to do that when I can.
Yeah, and well, you'll have that opportunity today. Back Pew Brewing from Porter, Texas, in
Oh,
our
yeah.
back porch here or backyard here. They have released one of the new really light, low-calorie beers. It's called Hyper Light. It's a lager, and we'll be trying that one today.
They have, I think it's a brown ale, the Seder Swill, that's quite good.
I like the Seder Swell. I'm not a huge fan of their IPA. As an IPA guy, don't like their IPA too much. So it'll be interesting to see how this one plays out because I'm really excited about it because I love this new lighter beer trend with full flavor. Because it's funny. I was in Dallas for a couple of days this week on business and wound up in one of those situations where it was like, you have a beer? What do you have? Okay, I'll take a Bud Light. And it's like, it just reminded me how much I enjoyed the beers we usually get to drink.
Just drink it cold and fast.
Yeah,
that's about
exactly
the
what
only
I
thing you
did.
can do.
Castle Island Brewing has an American IPA called Great Human. They are from Norwood, Massachusetts, which I'm familiar with, but Castle Island Brewing did not exist when I lived up in that area. So excited to try that. And then Cycle Brewing has a bourbon barrel aged Baltic Porter that we'll be trying. That
I like Cycle Brewing.
Pretty excited about this because this is a brewery with a great reputation, and so that should be a great deal of fun. And as if all of that wasn't enough, the Arran 18-year single malt Scotch from Scotland. From let me see if I can pronounce the
sounds
city
delicious.
correctly. Lachranza, Scotland.
I would go with that. Yes.
The Arran is the only distillery on the Isle of Arran. So, and by the way, I wanted to make sure that I didn't sound like an idiot, so I went on the internet and Google. I typed in, how do you pronounce Arran? And then it gave me like a bunch of things that I wasn't sure if it was the same as the island and the whiskey. So I typed in, how do you pronounce Isle of Arran?
There you go.
And I wish I had it to play for you because it was great. It was like, Isle of Arran. I was like, okay, if I try to do that, I'm going to sound like a real douchebag. So,
But Arran.
But Arran is how I'm going to Arran.
Not Aaron.
Yeah, it's not Aaron. It's Arran. It's Arran, and they roll the R, which is interesting because the Scottish, and then the Spanish and Mexican and South American cultures are the ones that roll the R. But it's so interesting to hear the Scottish do it because they're so far away from the other places that roll the R. But the Isle of Arran.
There you go.
Yeah, which sounds vaguely South American and like a Game of Thrones episode at the same time. So. All right, so there's a lot to do. Trey, we want to hear all about what's going on with you, and I want to really get you to bring us up to speed. I know maybe there hasn't been a whole lot of change in the last few weeks or even months, but I want you to bring us up to speed on where the important legal fights sit right now, since your involvement in Cigar Association, your Cigar Rights of America, since your involvement in that kind of keeps you up to speed with all of that. And plus, it's just good to see you again.
A lot of fun. Looking forward to it.
Yes, and Cigars for Warriors, you guys, I think, have had a pretty phenomenal year, haven't you?
It is. We have. We shipped our 1 millionth cigar as of July to servicemen and women stationed in combat zones.
But how can you do that? You're those poor servicemen and women.
I know, and the fact that they actually request them, that's really the hard part.
Madness.
Yeah,
it's madness. We're forcing them on them.
Yeah, clearly they don't know what's good for them.
Well, it's very interesting. We'll have a few things to talk about the 1 millionth cigar. A little interesting story
cool.
about the folks that received it.
Yep.
And then we've got a couple of key events coming up this weekend. And then tie those into kind of what we're dealing with the FDA from CRA. We'll be looking forward to that.
Good. I'm really excited about talking about that. And one of my favorite cigars, which is a yearly release, did not come out last year. And I'm excited to say that they are releasing a 2019 version, the Casada Oktoberfest. The 2016 was amazing.
It was so good.
The 2017 was not as good. It was okay, but it was not as good. And then they skipped 2018 altogether. There's going to be a 2019, and it's releasing soon. So I'll be able to tell you about that
Awesome.
a little bit. So a lot of great stuff going on. It's Smokin and Toastin. Our great friend Trey Boring is here, and we will be back to talk cigar rights and talk about a little hyper light lager coming up. It's Smokin and Toastin. I'm with Nick.
Smoke that cigar.